What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing an Elemental Hero Neos deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck got some absolutely insane support out of Power of the Elements, giving us all sorts of new amazing cards and even a new boss monster, Elemental Hero Shining Neos Wingman, which is an amazing card that's actually super easy to summon in this build. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like in your name, description for a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Elemental Hero Spirit of Neos, and this card is absolutely insane in the deck. It has the ability that when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position, and if you do, it cannot be destroyed by battle. That is a really good effect to just instantly get this card on your side of the field and give you some protection. But it also has an ability that if this card is special summoned, you can add from your deck to your hand a polymerization or a spell or trap card that mentions an elemental hero monster by card name. And during your main phase, you can shuffle this card into the deck, and if you do, special summon out an elemental hero normal monster from your deck, which is a really good effect to be able to just instantly get to your copy of Neos off this card. You play this card as a 2 of because it's so searchable in this build, but you want to play 2 of this card so that you can constantly have a way to get to Neos. I then played 2 copies of Elemental Hero Neos. I have bumped this card down to 2 from 3 in the previous build because this deck changed up a lot since the last time I profiled it. But this card is a really good 2 of to help us step into all sorts of different fusion plays. I then play 3 copies of Neo-spacian Connector. Neo-space Connector is a really good 3 of in the deck that is a great normal summon that has the ability that when this card is normal summoned, you can special summon a Neo-spacian monster or a copy of Elemental Hero Neos from your hand or deck in defense position, which is a really good effect to just normal summon this card, summon out your copy of Aqua Dolphin, or if you already have a Neo-spacian monster on your side of the field, you can instantly get to your copy of Neos with this card. But it also has a really good effect that you contribute this card and then target a Neo-spacian monster or a copy of Neos in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position, and you can only use each effect this card once per turn, which is a really awesome effect to be able to make one fusion play with Neos and then bring it back to your side of the field off the copy of Neo-space Connector to go in for another fusion play, which is really cool. I then play a single copy of Neo-spacian Aqua Dolphin, which is probably the most important Neo-spacian because this card has so many different fusions in the extra deck that we're going to be going for, which is really awesome. But this card can actually rip a card out of the opponent's hand, which is a really good effect, but you only need a single copy of it because you can get into it so easily. So this card is a definite 1 of in the build. I then play a single copy of Dark Panther. Dark Panther is a good 1 of as well that has the ability to target a face-up monster your opponent controls. Until the end phase, this card's name becomes that monster's name, and also you replace this monster's effect with that monster's original effect, which is a pretty good effect to be able to copy an opponent's monster's effect depending on your matchup. But this card also lets you step in a copy of Dark Neos, which is a great monster to be able to summon. I then play a single copy of Air Hummingbird. Air Hummingbird is a good 1 of in the deck to help us step into a copy of Cosmo Neos, which is a really awesome card because we need a bunch of different Neo-spacians to actually go in for a copy of our monster. I then play a single copy of Grand Mole. Grand Mole is a great normal summon in the deck as well because it has the ability at the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can turn both that opponent's monster and this card back to the hand, which is a great effect to give you a bounce of an opponent's card, which is just a really awesome effect. I then play 2 copies of Elemental Hero Stratos. Stratos is just a great normal summon in the deck and a great card to summon off of a hero lives because it has the ability that when this card is summoned, you get to add from your deck to your hand any hero monster that you want, like a copy of Vision Hero Vion or another monster that you need for a combo piece. I then play 2 copies of Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. I love 2 Shadow Mist in this deck because of the new card, our card Engage Neo-space. Engage Neo-space is such a good card in this deck to be able to use with your copy of Shadow Mist because then you not only get a summon, but you also get a search from the deck off your copy of Shadow Mist, which is a great effect to be able to use because if this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to add a hero monster from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect to get to the exact card that you need when you need it. And if this card is special summon, you can also add a change quick play spell card from your deck to your hand, which can help us step into a copy of Dark Law, which is a great card to be able to summon against most matchups right now, which is a really good thing about this deck. And then play a single copy of a Liquid Soldier. Liquid Soldier is in here so we can go into our copy of Ab-Zero, and also has the ability that if this card is used as a fusion material and is sent to the grave or banished, you get to draw 2 cards and then discard a card, which is really good to help us dig into the deck. And then play a single copy of Vision Hero Vion. Vision Hero Vion is a great normal summon, especially if you summon off your copy of Stratos off of a Hero Lives, because then you can search this card from your deck to your hand, normal summon it, send your copy of Shadow Mist to the grave, get you an additional search, and then banish the Shadow Mist to be able to search Polymerization from your deck to your hand. Great effect to be able to use in the deck to be able to just get so many searches off of a single special summon off of a Hero Lives. I then play 2 copies of Crosskeeper. Crosskeeper is a great new card in the deck. I wanted to play this card as a 3 of, but when I played it at 3, it kept breaking in the deck, so I ended up cutting it down to 2, and it has a really good effect. You can send this card from your hand or field to the grave to special summon an elemental hero monster or a neo-spacian from your hand or grave, but negate its effect if it's summoned from the graveyard, which is a totally fine effect because you can special summon out a copy of Shadow Mist directly from your hand to get a search of a change spell card, which is a really good effect to get your mass change directly from your deck to your hand, or special summon out a copy of Spirit of Neos to get its effect off, or just not waste your normal summon and summon out a copy of Stratos to get a search as well, which is a really good effect. But it also has a graveyard effect that if you special summon an elemental hero fusion monster while this card's in the graveyard, except during the damage step, you can manage this card to draw 2 and then place a card from your hand on the bottom of the deck, which is a great effect to just get you an additional draw 2, like your copy of Elemental Hero Liquid Soldier. I then play a single copy of Rainbow Dragon. Rainbow Dragon is in here because we're going to use this card to step into Rainbow Neos, and that is the only reason this card is in the deck. I then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is an insane hand trap, and probably the best hand trap in the entire game, so we're playing it as a 3 of. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Rhoda. Rhoda is just really good in the deck because it gets us into any of our monsters that we need. So this card is a definite 1-of in the deck because it's going to be able to search cards like Stratos, your copies of Liquid Soldier, or any of the other cards that you have that are warriors that are level 4 or lower in this deck. And then play a single copy of Polymerization because it's so searchable in the deck, and there's actually cards now in the deck that can get it back out of the graveyard, which is a really good effect. We then play a single copy of Miracle Fusion because we're going to search this card off of our copy of Sunriser, which is a really good effect to be able to just grab this card and step into a copy of Absolute Zero. And then play a single copy of Miracle Contact. Miracle Contact is a good 1-of that's basically a Miracle Fusion for your Neos monsters, which is the ability to shuffle in your deck from your hand, field, or graveyard the fusion materials listed on an Elemental Hero Fusion monster that lists Elemental Hero Neos as a fusion material, and then special summon that fusion monster from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, which is a really good effect to just step into a copy of one of your Neos fusion monsters directly from your extra deck with this card. I then play 2 copies of Mass Change. Mass Change is a really good 2 of in the deck because it lets me go in for my copy of Dark Law, which can really shut down the opponent, which is a really good boss monster as well. 2 copies of Instant Contact. I like 2 copies in my particular build because it helps me step into so many different cards in this particular deck, and it has the ability to pay 1,000 life points to special summon a level 7 or lower elemental hero or neo-spacian monster from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. And while you have Neos is neither on the field or in your graveyard, this summon monster cannot attack or activate its effects. Also, return to the extra deck during the end phase, but that's not that big of a deal because usually you're going to use the monster that you summon as a fusion material to go in for another card, or you're always going to have Neos on the field or in the grave. So this card is a great 2-of in this particular deck because it can help us summon out so many cards from the extra to be able to go in for other cards. For example, summoning out your copy of Flaying Wingman to be able to step into your copy of Shining Neo Swingman, which is really good. We then play 3 of the most crazy new card that we got out of Power of the Elements for this deck, and it's going to be 3 copies of Engage Neospace. This card is absolutely broken in this deck and just a really good card. It has the ability to send a neo-spacian monster and an elemental hero monster, 1 from your hand and 1 from your deck to the graveyard, and then you get to special summon a neo-spacian monster or a level 5 or higher hero monster or elemental hero monster from your deck. And if you do, you get to add a Polymerization from your deck deck or graveyard to your hand, and if an Elemental Hero Neos is summoned by this effect, it gains 1,000 attack points, and you can't special summon monsters from the extract except fusion monsters the turn you activate this effect, which is totally fine because pretty much all we're playing is fusion monsters anyways. But this card is really good in the deck because it helps us summon out Spirit of Neos to be able to then grab more cards off of this card's effect, which is really, really good. I love this card in the deck, and it's just a really, really good card that pretty much sets up for your copy of Shining Neos Wingman. I then play 3 copies of Neos Fusion. Neos Fusion is a really good 3-of in the deck because it helps us step into copies of Rainbow Neos or any of our Neos Fusion monsters that we want to summon from the extra deck. So this card is really good, and it also lets us fusion summon by using cards from our deck, which is really insane. I then play 3 copies of A Hero Lives. A Hero Lives is a great starter in the deck that has the ability that if you control no face-up monsters, you pay half your life points, and then you special summon out a level 4 or lower elemental hero monster from your deck, which is always going to be your copy of Stratos. And if you already have summoned both your Stratoses and you're going into the late grind game with this deck, you can summon out Shadow Mist to then be able to search out your copy of Mass Change to step into a copy of Dark Law later in the game, which is a really good effect. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, I'm just going to be playing a single trap, and that's going to be a single copy of Favorite Contact. Favorite Contact is a really good card in the deck because it lets us special summon a fusion monster from our extract that mentions a hero monster as a material, ignoring its summoning conditions by placing the fusion materials mentioned on it from on the bottom of the deck in any order from among cards on your hand, field, graveyard, or banished cards. And if you place an Elemental Neos into the deck, neither player can return the monster special summoned by this effect into the extra deck, which is really good because basically it ignores the summoning conditions of cards like your Dark Neos or Aqua Neos to be able to return them back to the extra deck during the end phase, which is a really good effect that this card just says you don't have to return them back, which is a really good effect. So you get to keep the boss monster that you summon off this card. I only play this card as a 1-of in the deck because it is a trap card, but it is searchable in the deck, which is why it's just a 1-of. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Elemental Hero Shining Neos Wingman. As you guys can tell by the playmat, I absolutely love this card. And definitely give us a like for the playmat and the new boss monster, because this card is insane in this deck. It actually goes in for game, which is really insane. It does require an Elemental Hero Neos plus a Wingman fusion monster to be able to summon this card, but that's really easy with our copy of our Instant Contact, being able to summon out our copy of Flame Wingman directly from the extra deck. With this card having the ability, it must be fusion summoned, and it gains 300 attack points for each monster in your graveyard. Doesn't matter if they have the same name, doesn't matter if they're not a hero monster, just 300 additional attack points for every monster in the grave. Also, it cannot be destroyed by card effects, and if this card is special summoned, then you can destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of different attributes among the monsters on the field. This card can get a bunch of pops, which is really good, and just become absolutely massive on the field. And you can only use the effects of this card once per turn, and if this card destroys a monster by battle, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack points, just like the old Flame Wingman effect, which is really insane. I then play a single copy of Flame Wingman because we can summon this card out with Instant Contact to be able to step into our copy of Shining Neos Wingman, which is really cool. One copy of Cosmo Neos, which is actually a really insane boss monster to go into with Miracle Contact later in the game, because this card basically turns the opponent's entire turn off, which is really cool. But it also protects us because it cold waves the field, basically makes it so the opponent can't activate any more card effects for the rest of the turn, but it does require an Elemental Hero Neos plus 3 neo-spacians with different attributes, which is why we play 4 different ones in the main deck. I then play a single copy of Nebula Neos, which can draw us a bunch of cards, because this card has a really, really insane effect that if this card is special summoned from the extra deck, you can draw cards equal to the number of cards your opponent controls, and then negate the effect of one face-up card on the field until the end of the turn, which is a really insane effect. But it also has the ability that once per turn, during the end phase, you shuffle this card into the extra deck, and if you do, banish all cards on the field face down. And it doesn't target, it just banishes them, which is really cool. We then play a single copy of Brave Neos. Brave Neos is just a good 1-of now in the deck because it does require just Neos plus any level 4 or lower effect monster to summon this card out to your side of the field, and when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you get to add a spell or trap card from your deck to your hand that specifically lists Elemental Hero Neos in its text, which is a pretty good effect. And then play a single copy of Dark Neos because it is a walking negate, which is really good in this deck. Play this card as a 1-of, and you just have to get Dark Panther plus your copy of Neos on the field to contact fusion fusion into this card. We then play a single copy of Aqua Neos because it can rip a card out of the opponent's hand, just like Aqua Dolphin. And with this particular deck, you can actually rip 4 cards out of the opponent's hand, which is really cool. And I really like that effect because this card basically just gets rid of a card in the hand. When you summon out your copy of your Aqua Dolphin, you're going to be able to use its effect to get rid of a card out of the opponent's hand. And then you also play a copy of neo-spacian Marine Dolphin, which is why I play 2 copies of the Instant Contact, because you can summon out this, or you can summon out Flame Wingman to be able to get an additional card out of the hand, or step into your copy of your Shining Neos Wingman. This card is really good in the deck because it can get rid of a card out of the opponent's hand, which is a really good effect to be able to go into. And if you have a Neos on your side of the field, you can then contact into your Elemental Hero Marine Neos, which will get rid of an additional card in your opponent's hand. And in the first turn, you can actually get rid of 4 cards out of your opponent's hand with this particular build, which is really cool. I then play a single copy of Sunriser because it searches out Miracle Fusion, and then I play a single copy of Ab-Zero, which is what you're going to summon out with your copy of Miracle Fusion all the time in this deck. I play a single copy of Rainbow Neos because Rainbow Neos can shuffle all the cards that your opponent controls into the deck by sending a monster that you control to the graveyard and shuffle all the monsters. If you send a spell or trap, then you can shuffle all the spells and traps, and if you send a card from the top of your deck, you can shuffle all the cards in your opponent's graveyard back into the deck, which is really good just to get rid of an entire board of cards with this card, but you can only activate one of those effects per turn. Then play a single copy of Dark Law because it's really easy to step into in this deck, and it's just a really good card to be able to summon. One copy of Wonder Driver because it can get our copy of Polly back from the grave, which is really nice. And then finally, a single copy of Extra Hero Infernal Devicer because Infernal Devicer can add materials for fusion summon from our deck to our hand, because as you believe, if this card is link summon, you reveal any hero fusion monster in the extra deck, and if you do, add 2 materials that's listed on that card with different names from your deck to your hand, but it has to be specifically listed on the card. For example, like a copy of Elemental Hero Dark Neos, listing your copy of Dark Panther and Elemental Hero Neos. You can just reveal it and then add those cards from deck to hand. Now, a card I did consider putting in the extra deck was Air Neos, but I ended up cutting it for the copy of Neo-Spacian Marine Dolphin and a copy of the Elemental Hero Marine Neos for a copy of Grand Neos and a copy of Air Neos, which is an option for you guys if you want to change those cards out. So that's it for the deck, guys. I really like this deck. It's really insane how well it plays, and it's just really a fun deck to be able to summon out such a nostalgic monster, being a fusion between Elemental Hero, Shining Flare Wingman, and Neos, which is just really, really cool. I absolutely love this card. It's super nostalgic because actually that card, the Shining Flare Wingman, was one of my favorite cards growing up, which is just really cool. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.